What's up, everybody? Problems back here again. Week 3, college football coming up. Week 2 is a pretty good week. I'm going to say so. I mean, I'm not going to point any fingers, but mm, 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 mm. Lunch pail defense up there in Ohio State, baby. Buckeyes didn't know what the hell to do with that. About beating up on them acorn seeds, whatever you guys call yourselves up there. Flower people, seed people, acorns, nuts, the hell ever you are. No, just kidding there, Buckeye fans. But, good game up there. My Hokies went up there and took care of business. It's about time. Virginia Tech's needed that for some time now. We needed to win a big game. We've had a tough time doing that. Oh, man, week 2. We had some good ones. We had Michigan State, Oregon. Yeah. Oregon showed that they could get the job done, beating up on Michigan State there in the second half. A lot of people thought that maybe Oregon couldn't play with a big school for 4 quarters, and they went out there and showed them not only that they can go out there and play with them for 4 quarters, that they can go out there and beat them in 4 quarters, and that's exactly what they did. Oregon came away with the W on that one. At USC Stanford, very low scoring. I figured more points were going to be scored than that. Betting on it, I took an over, which I figured there were going to be some points scored, but it didn't, and USC came away with the W. I'm not going to say that USC is that good, but I am going to say that the Pac-12 in itself has a lot of talent, and maybe when one team falters, then anybody can beat anybody in that league. I think that they're the real deal out there, out west. Hands down the best conference in the country. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Virginia Tech over Ohio State. Defense reigned supreme in that game. Virginia Tech really took advantage of a freshman quarterback and a new offensive line for the Buckeyes. And Bud Foster dialed it up and went out there and really put the hammer down on them. Hopefully my Hokies can stay with it. They're known for winning big games. Not as big as this, but big games and dropping and losing to people that they shouldn't be at all. So they've got a test this week, and we'll talk about that as well. The SEC looked good. Florida really put down Eastern Michigan. I know they missed week 1, so this was really their first game of the season, and I picked Florida State to be a sleeper out of the East, and I mean they hung 60-some points on Eastern Michigan. Not saying it's the best team in the land, but for your first game of the year, looking that on track with everybody, defense is on point, offense is clicking, throwing, running, special teams, really they look good. So let's watch it. USC. They beat ECU by 10. They didn't look all that impressive. East Carolina probably should have scored more points than that, except their South Carolina's defense decided to step up. I know on their first couple drives inside the red zone and held them to a field goal. So I don't know. Looking at that scoreboard, it was closer than that. It was definitely closer than that. The Big 12. Of course, Oklahoma is out there winning still. Texas really got handled by BYU. I mean, they really got beat. It was ugly. And I know I picked Texas to do a lot better. I figured Charlie Strong was going to be down there taking care of business and really getting that team together. But they got David Ash is out now. Too many concussions. Kid's been beating the brain. So they're really in trouble. Texas is one of those schools that really demands to win. And they're not doing a whole lot of that right now. So, obviously, Charlie Strong's not going to be on the hot seat this year. But they need to find some way to start winning some ball games, because not making a bowl game is going to be tough for the state of Texas, especially the Longhorns, because it's a pretty prestigious school. Baylor sailed, even without Petty in the game. I think that offense, I might even be able to go out and play for Baylor, because they've just got so much talent out there. I mean, just throwing balls all over the place. Who the hell knows? the Big Ten really, really did not do well this year. I know that ESPN's everybody, not just ESPN, but everybody's really talking about the big conferences right now and who's pushing people around. Let me talk about one more game real quick. Notre Dame, Michigan. A lot of people didn't know about Michigan as far as the Big Ten goes. I know, like I said, they had a hard weekend. Notre Dame dismantled Michigan. In fact, that was ugly. Anybody who watched that one, I turned it off. I think it was 21 or 28 at half, 28 nothing, or 21 nothing. That was bad. That was really bad. It did not shine well for it. It was not a good weekend for the Big Ten. But let's get into the conferences as far as the conferences itself holds together. Myself, I got to put the Pac-12 at number one. I know a lot of people put the SEC, but I'm going to put the Pac-12 up there. I think as far as their top teams go, even though the SEC has a lot of teams in the top 10, UCLA, Stanford, Oregon, Southern California, USC, Arizona State, Arizona. It's pretty impressive. I mean, those are really good teams. Obviously, Washington can put up points. I think they played Eastern Washington or something and barely won. It was they must have scored 200 combined points. Not really, but it was over 100. But the Pac-12, I think, is number one. I don't think that anybody's better than that group of teams out there. I know people were saying, especially in an SEC country here, people are going, "What the hell? You kidding me right now?" Yeah, I'm willing to take that argument to the house that the Pac-12 is better than the SEC. But the SEC definitely comes in second. I mean, you have Georgia, obviously, your big powerhouses, Alabama, Auburn, LSU. South Carolina's kind of fallen off this year. I don't think it's Spurrier's best team he's ever had. I know that the Gamecock fans around here really got used to winning 10 and 11 games. But that's probably not going to happen this year, I don't think. They've got some tough games. We can talk a little bit about that later, too. As far as number 3 goes, I'm going to put the Big 12, even with the ACC. I think, besides for Oklahoma and maybe Baylor, I don't see a lot of other talent in that conference. I mean, they're okay, but there's nothing to brag about. I mean, Texas just got rolled by BYU, and I mean rolled. It wasn't even close at all in any way, shape, or form. I mean, absolutely got their asses kicked. But I mean, the ACC's got Florida State, who's pretty good. You got Clemson, who's pretty good. I think Virginia Tech's emerging as a good team. You got Louisville. As much as I hate to say it, Duke's not a weak team either. I'm gonna put the Big 12 tied with the ACC as far as overall skill and talent and teams and whatever else goes with it. I said it. I don't care. Dead last, you got to put the Big 10. I mean, not just this weekend, but as a whole, they're not doing real great right now. I mean, yeah, Virginia Tech beat Ohio State. A lot of people picked Ohio State to win, even with Braxton Miller out. They really went up there. They played man defense the entire time in the secondary. Bud Foster really made J.T. Barrett wonder what he needed to do back there because that defense was in his face the entire game. The entire game. Michigan State losing to Oregon, you can't really rule out Michigan State for being not a good team right now. Oregon's pretty good, and you can't overlook them just because of that loss. You have Nebraska, who barely beat McNeese State, and I do mean barely beat it. Anybody who watched that game, unless you're a Nebraska fan, you're going to say they probably shouldn't have won that game. That 50-yard pass there at the end where he bounced off like 9 people and came out of a crowd of like 4 and ran around the field and took for a touchdown to win the game. I'm not going to classify that as a dominating force out there in Lincoln. In fact, I could hear the birds talking. The stadium was so quiet, almost like the horseshoe. Sorry, that was a little low. Northwestern has been getting punished. They're not good. Illinois is not good. Wisconsin's okay. Michigan, I think a lot of people were overrating them. Notre Dame really, really kicked the shit out of them, and that was not pretty at all. It wasn't the greatest thing I've ever seen from a Michigan team. And I think Brady Hoke he might be on a hot seat as far as I'm concerned, because I don't see them beating Ohio State. I don't see Michigan beating Michigan State. I don't see they're going to drop some ball games this year, and coach might not be coaching there anymore. So, week 3's coming up. It's a pretty dead week. Not that many games going on. Not that, I mean, obviously you're going to watch football. I mean, come on, it's still football. But matchup-wise, nothing exciting. Nothing like week 1, week 2. We got some good weeks coming up ahead of us, but week 3 is not going to be the greatest in the country. You've got, of course, the game everybody's talking about is Georgia, South Carolina. We'll talk about that one at the end. There's a couple games that I like. I'm going to be watching for this week. One of them's going to be Louisville, Virginia. I think Virginia is a lot better than people are putting them out to be. It could be that they've been awful for like the past 6 years or whatever, but I know the way they looked against UCLA as far as their defense goes, seeing how UCLA only scored 1 offensive touchdown, Louisville, this might be a trap game for them. I think if they can get an offense going at all and their defense can play as well as they've been playing for the first 2 weeks, they might have a chance to win, to beat Louisville, which I'm never going to root for Virginia. Ever. Unless it's in a bowl game. But as far as conference plays, you will never see me say go Hoos, because no, absolutely. It's like rooting for West Virginia. You're never going to see me root for West Virginia, or Miami for that matter. I mean, Canes, West Virginia, and Virginia. And anybody from Blacksburg, Virginia will be the first ones to tell you that. Sorry, that might have been a little bit much, but it's true. Penn State. I know everybody's going, who gives a shit about Penn State? Well, NCAA just lifted their sanctions. They get all their scholarships back next year, and they can play in the postseason this year. Penn State's 2-0. Granted, they haven't beat the best teams in the country. You only need 6 wins to be bowl eligible. And as far as the Big Ten goes, I mean, hell, they're not that. They're better than a lot of teams in the Big Ten right now. So Penn State's got Rutgers. If Mr. Hattenberg can get his team together and win another one, they're going to be 3-0. You know, and I don't know who they got to play in the Big Ten this year. I haven't looked at it that close. But, I mean, besides for Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Michigan State, who cares? Purdue's terrible. Northwestern's awful. Illinois' awful. Minnesota's okay, I guess. But as far as the rest of that conference goes, they're not any good. Which Penn State isn't the best team ever, but they're better than them. So, Penn State, Rutgers. The other one is Virginia Tech, ECU. Yeah, that's right. I said it. Virginia Tech, ECU. The Hokies have been known to win a ball game and then drop one against somebody that they're not supposed to lose against. And East Carolina always gives them a run. For some reason, we cannot just go in and smash people unless we've got Michael Vick. We've never been able to do it. So this is a trap. This might be a trap game for us. I think the spread's 11. It's in Greenville. It's in ECU. It might get. I hate watching them. I hate when they come off a big win. Virginia Tech, ECU. It might be a trap game. It definitely could be on the upset list. The game that everybody's talking about. South Carolina, Georgia. I think it's a 3:30 game. It's here in Williams-Brice in Columbia, South Carolina. The way that South Carolina looked against ECU, they might be in for a bad day against Georgia. I think Georgia had the week off. Todd Gurley's probably pushing trailers around getting ready for this game or something just because he's a beast. South Carolina better slow him down. They better slow that stable of tailbacks down in Georgia if they want to hang in this game. I think if they can force the pass with that new young quarterback Georgia's got, I think they might be in it. or at least keep it close. But the second they let Gurley and that stable of horses in the backfield loose, it might be a long day at Billy Bryce Stadium. I think they might get a little out of control. I got to take Georgia to win it, but it might get ugly. I think Gurley's my number one on the Heisman list as of right now, with Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota very close. See, now it's only week 3, but that's definitely it. I think Gurley's going to be the deciding factor, and I don't see him put him any less than 100, 120 yards on South Carolina's defense. If he breaks into the secondary, there's no one on that field that's going to be able to take him down. They might as well start clearing the first 6 rows out there to start playing defense. That way, maybe South Carolina can put 40 people on the field, and they might be able to stop them. One more game is Florida, Kentucky. Everybody's going, who gives a shit about Kentucky? Well, Florida missed its first game against Idaho, and now they had Eastern Michigan last week, and they hung 60-some points on them. Granted, it's still Eastern Michigan. But for that was their season opener for Florida. They went out there and looked like they had been on cue. Looked like they haven't even stopped playing football since last year. Granted, they weren't good last year, a lot of injuries. But everybody's back. Florida looks good. The defense looks good. The offense is clicking. Special teams is pretty good. They got some talent at returner there. They've got Kentucky. Not saying Kentucky's an SEC powerhouse, but Kentucky is in the SEC. They still have big physical skill players here and there, but they're still fast. They're better than Eastern Michigan, and they're better than Idaho. So I think it'll be interesting to watch how Florida handles an SEC team with a little bit of talent, a little bit of size, instead of them just out there pushing, bullying people around. So that's my outlook on this week. I'm going to take Georgia over South Carolina. I know that there's a lot of Gamecock fans that are probably getting ready to start knocking on my door and punch me out because that's a pretty heated rivalry. But, I mean, what do you do? UVA, Louisville, going to be one to watch. Of course, South Carolina, Georgia. Florida, Kentucky, just to see how Florida handles it. Penn State, Rutgers, because I might be a secret Penn State fan. I don't know. I want to see Penn State win 3. And the ECU Virginia Tech game. Those are the watcher games this week. So hit me with your comments down there. Let me know what you're thinking. Tell me how bad I suck as far as making my picks. Gotta apologize for the Vanderbilt Ole Miss game because damn, Vanderbilt, you suck. You're not good at all. You're really, really terrible. Actually, I figured maybe you'd be able to bounce back. But let me know how I'm doing. Hit me up on the email, comments, concerns, topics to talk about. I want to know what you people are thinking out there. As far as I'm concerned, I'm done. Week 3, I'm ready for it. Everybody have a good weekend, and we'll see you with the Week 4 talk about. Peace.